We are here live. Welcome to the show. We watched the whole debate live. If you want to watch that, I'm going to clip it over for the members-only section. But right now, let's offer our take on this first debate, this first presidential debate between Joe Biden and our president, Donald Trump. Our scores are in. They are in, and based on all of us, we gave it an 8 to Biden and a 3 to Trump. If you want to break down how that happened, you can go watch our full debate coverage. But I didn't want to just put up the hour and a half craziness because a lot of it was very boring. But let's get down now that we've gotten this through. Let's get down to where did Paul go? Paul just left again. Well, yeah, Paul was here, but sadly Paul's gone. But let me go through my panel who watched with me. Thank you guys so much for joining. We got David on the line. Hey, David. David is Canadian, but David was a Trump supporter. So thank you for joining.
I'm more of a Republican supporter, so I would prefer a different person than Trump, but he is the Republican nominee, and he and I have the same enemies. I think that's the best way I put it when I talk. People say about Trump, he and I have the same enemies.
He and I have the same enemies. And then we have, got it. Paul was the fellow Trump supporter who's now gone. I don't know what happened. Paul, please call back in. That was bad timing. And then we have a Don. Don, where do you lean on this? We didn't get to get your reveal beforehand. Before the debates, who would you have said you were leaning towards?
I was leaning towards Biden.
Okay.
And I was thinking of as I was watching the debate, I was thinking of slogans as a pro wrestling match, like Biden ain't Latin, and then Trump ain't no dump. He's the beast from the east, just coming in as a golden god. No,
okay.
But yes, I do lean to the Biden on the side.
Okay, and then Stormy, you also were leaning towards Biden in the beginning, yes? Okay.
Yep,
great.
I'm
okay.
still on there.
And I know Paul was leaning Trump, but somehow, Paul, we lost you, Paul, at the very end when I need you. So call back in. You have the link. If you see him in there, David, help me loop him in.
Yeah.
But we had 2 and 2, and I would say I'm a Biden, so I guess it's we got 3 against 1 now. Hopefully we get Paul back in. But at the end of the debate, now that we've seen the debate, we did score it based off of each round. Who had the best round? We were really wasn't even really about the politics. It was who handled the best rounds. And I got to say, I think Trump, he started strong, right? He tried to come out the gate pretty strong and attacking Biden pretty hard. He wanted to get those jabs in right away, but I think it just made him look a little unhinged and it made him look a little desperate. It didn't play off to me. It didn't actually work. And Biden, to his credit, stayed calm and then called him out when he needed to. But it was really Chris Wallace, the debater, who stepped in to really police and call and just, call him out for it being a child. I'm like, dude, Trump, you agreed to these terms. You keep interrupting. Stop. At the end of the day, Chris Wallace really did do, I think, a great job there to sort of make sure things were legit and try to. But it was impossible to because Trump wouldn't let anybody make a statement. So even though he was trying to get those little jabs in, unlike the Hillary debate where I think Trump succeeded there, I don't think it worked here. I think at the end of the day, Biden didn't look senile. Biden was boring. I'll be honest. Biden wasn't very he didn't energize me or get me yes, I'm so happy to vote for Biden. But he came across as a little less crazy, to be honest, in this debate. That's my take overall on how this went down. Curious. Let's go back around the panel though. Stormy, what do you agree? Do you have any other sort of differences of opinions on how that played out for you? And do you think Biden won heavily, or do you think it was closer?
I think it was kind of closer because when you actually look at Trump and Biden side by side together, you kind of see just the contrast of, how different they really are. So it's more like, who would I really want to represent me out there? Do I want some, not to be harsh, but some crazy person talking nonsense, unhinged and just talking out of his ass? Or do I want somebody that's just going to be very articulate, calm when it comes to things? And that's what you saw with just polar opposites too. But I thought that Trump, with his, jabs, and I thought that, he made some really valid points, and I will give him for that. But I will say overall, Biden stayed on point and on key and kept trying to go back. He wasn't trying to take it to that level. He kind of wanted to keep it steady, okay, what's the question? Let me answer that. Let him answer that. And so I do see that, but then I also see the fact that Biden needs to kind of look that Trump's not going to play by the rules. And so he's going to have to start kind of pick another strategy in a way for the next debates. And also, This was very boring debate.
It was.
Two senile old men just.
It was
two
very.
senile old, Yeah, just two senile old men arguing over who's more senile, and then you're looking at them and you look at their facial expression. I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, come on now.
It was
So,
very boring as we sort of go back. It was a lot of just stuff.
Why I don't watch these things.
Well, all right. Well said, though, Stormy. David, let's go to your thoughts on this. Do you agree? Do you think Trump? But you do agree with our voting there that Biden did ultimately pull off?
Oh yeah, Biden definitely won. I knew Trump was doing no prep for this, and it showed. He was not prepared for anything. He was not. Going into the debate with no actual work, like going on to movie fights without actually doing any thinking or strategizing, and you're going to get killed. And he did it. He thought he could just wing this as he normally does. And I think in the next debate, we'll see a much better Trump because he's now remembered. This is like the first George Bush Kerry fight back in 2004, where W didn't think he had to do any work, and Kerry just came and destroyed him. It's like, you haven't done any work.
Yeah.
I'm the president. I'm a wartime president. I don't have time to debate or do prep.
Well, it'll be interesting. I want to get to that topic of what can they do in debate too, but let's end there as we get more comments. And we're going to get your comments in. You can keep supporting. Thank you guys who supported and gave tonight. Really appreciate it. Damian stepped up. Damian, you are fast track in. Join the conversation. Join in. I'd love to get Damian's thoughts. But as we go around, so Adon, what were your takeaways on this? Do you feel like it was a win, a big win for Biden, or was it closer than you want it to be as a Biden supporter?
So I was gonna say it's definitely closer than I would like it to be. I would like it to be a shutout. That's the only way I think Biden could really truly win. If it was like a shutout, he completely dominates the entire thing. But because he didn't, I don't think that's how he's gonna be. I looked at this as more like I would have fight. Like Trump was going in, throwing a lot of jabs, making his remarks, interrupting when he can, getting any hits he can to throw in there. And a lot of misses were happening. And then Biden trying to duck and, dodge a couple of those hits, taking some of them in, but then he will throw in some hooks into the hits. So when the hits that he did make were solid hits, and that's what was laying out that fight, where Trump was trying to win by points, what he wasn't doing. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think Biden was really winning this. But in the long run, I don't think this is a strong enough win for Biden in his case. I think it's a win for the night, but I don't think it's a win for the war.
Mm-hmm. Well said. And I'm so drunk from all that. I drank a lot tonight,
bro. I drank this entire.
I'm so drunk. I need a snack because I'm like. Oh,
I drank all of this, but this is like 5%. So.
Easily 2/3 of this was liquor, and I finished this and alcohol, and I got a new glass. I
need to eat something, or I'm gonna lose it. So pardon if you hear me chumping. I tried to close something. But let's. All right. So I see Damian's in the chat. What up, my man? Oh yeah. What's up?
Konnichiwa, bitches.
Sorry you didn't join us throughout, but I know. But thanks. I'm glad you could join it now. So where were you standing before the debate, Damian?
Before the debate, I honestly thought that Trump was going to sit here and tear Biden apart. I don't know what focus drugs Biden was on tonight, but I got to give it. I feel like if you were watching a boxing fight, Trump was coming out like a brawler, old school, maybe Mike Tyson. But if Mike Tyson was the same weight as Mayweather, I got to give it Biden. The whole Mayweather, he kind of rope-a-doped and he kind of just did a lot of defense and just calmly waited and then picked his punches. But I was definitely thinking that Trump was going to bully this dude because anytime I've seen Biden in any other live event or any kind of other thing, I'm like, this dude is, if he's not prepared, if he's not coached, he just, even though he's been a politician forever, on a live one-on-one, I did not think that he was going to be able to hold his own. His best advice I don't know if that was something that was coached to him or something he does instinctively, was just be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times him just being quiet I was like, damn, dude, okay, he's being quiet, in which Trump feeds off of that ability to be like, you want to go back and forth? Let's go back and forth. He can do that. And they didn't get into numbers much. Anytime Trump brought up numbers, Trump won on numbers. Anytime it was real numbers, he was able to bring up numbers. But Biden would just let the best thing that Biden did was he would sit back and go, all right, listen, you might have got me on some numbers, you may have got me on some facts, but I'm gonna just let you talk. And sometimes I'm just gonna just sit quietly. And he let Chris do some of the talking for him. which is why I think the score is off. I think Chris won at least 2 of those rounds, by the way, Andy. I think just outright.
Yeah, sorry. I'm eating a chip because I caught me.
Oh, you need to keep talking while you chip?
No. I just need to get some food in me or I'm going to be really drunk.
Yeah.
I think
you're going to be like birthday Andy drunk.
Exactly.
Ooh, that was
close.
a good time.
I mean, I'm already there a little there if you guys push me. But I was going to say, there was another thing you mentioned in the chat that I want to make sure we mention here is the fact that he looked at camera. Like, it's such a, like, look at this, right? I'll do it right now. Ready? So when I'm on a stream and I'm doing like this and I'm like, hey guys, I'm talking like this, you're watching me sort of half. But when I do this, hey guys, what do you think of the stream? Blah, 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 blah. It's in a much different feel. You can see it immediately. Hopefully you can feel it when I show you. If I'm looking over here and doing, hey, what's going on? And then I go, hey guys, what's going on? It's a different feel. And Trump didn't get that. No. And it'll be interesting to see if Trump gets that. It'll be interesting if Trump gets that note the next round because he needs to look at the camera more. He needs to talk to the American people in a situation like that. Now, look, there's a lot where you're like engaging and you want to talk to Chris, you want to talk to Joe. There are moments you play that as a performer, host, personality. Like that just comes with knowing and the more experience you do. And these guys should know how to do that. But Trump needs to figure out when and how to speak to the people. But I think it's telling because I don't think he knows when, because it's a telling thing to me because it just shows that it shows that he's so on the attack that he's not actually talking to the American people. He's more interested, and it's more important to him to attack Joe or attack Chris, the host, and it's all about him. It's not about, all right, here, let me actually talk straight to you. He doesn't know how to do that. It's always just, people think that's what Trump's doing, but that's my, and again, I should have said this at the beginning. We're talking politics. Everyone's open, and we're going to have some calls, and we're going to actually be open to politics. So everyone, let's not judge each other's politics or stances on this. Let's be grateful we can have this civil conversation back and forth. But to me, my reason for why I don't support Trump is this one right here, in that he doesn't feel like a man of the people. He feels like a showman who's just there to hawk his brand. That's always been my problem with Trump. I love The Apprentice. I watched The Apprentice religiously. I liked him on Howard Stern. I thought he was a fun personality. But now, I don't want my president to be somebody who's more inclined with making sure, nepotism and his own brand succeeding over the country. And I think it's telling where he can't even know, all right, look, I'm speaking to you, America, or even fake that. To me, that's a sign of you're seeing the problems of he's only about attacking. He's only he doesn't even know we're there. He doesn't even know where the audience is. Why? It's more about in a moment I gotta go. No. Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying, Damian?
I do, and I mean that comes from Trump being a businessman and a TV star and things of that nature. And one of the things that was refreshing about him in the previous election was the fact that he was so raw. Biden is a seasoned politician. I mean, the dude has been in politics for much longer than Trump has. And so he understands that there is a portion of politics that requires connectivity. Therein lies the difference between the businessman who has been in Hollywood and don't get me wrong, like I said, I was going for Trump at the beginning of this debate. And I'm not saying that my vote has changed or anything. I'm not showing those cards. I'm just saying from this debate alone, is we're treating it like a nerd wars, right? Based on the arguments alone, I would say that there were some hard-hitting facts and some hard-hitting moments that I thought that could have been answered just with a little restraint, just a little restraint. Like when he hit him with the economics, I think Trump should have had the economics debate, because of the economics in the business. For businesses, the economics has grown since the Obama administration. I mean, any president that has to deal with the fact that we have the Bud Light, any president, and I mentioned that in the chat before, any president that has to deal with a pandemic, no president has had to deal with a pandemic in, let's see.
68.
Yeah, 68. Okay, so how many presidencies is that? Is that like 6 presidencies, 8 presidencies? Because a lot of them were Johnson. 8 years. So, I mean, we weren't prepared for that. Even I don't care what president was in the office. No president was prepared for that. I agree with you, Andy, when they said that you can't say what another person would or would have not done. But I don't think that anyone could sit there and honestly say that. And this is where the debate comes in. He should honestly come to us, and we could have given Trump some nerd wars tips
But
Adam would have probably been a great coach for him.
But I think you just made a good point, and I want to get to the rest of you guys, and I know a lot of you want to call in. We'll get there. You made a good point. You do that by just being honest and saying, look, this was unexpected. We're learning. We didn't really know in the beginning. We did make some mistakes. But if you just admitted that, I think it would offer so much more humility and empathy, and people would be more forgiving of it than a man who never takes accountability. I think that's really the problem for a lot of people, myself included, of just like, look, the buck stops with him. And this is a serious thing, and a lot of people aren't taking it seriously. I understand. Do we take it serious to an extent where we shut down the government for 2 years and then the economy? I mean, okay, maybe not, but we still should have taken it seriously, and we still need to take it seriously. And I think that's what it's all about. It's just be more of a presidential person to sort of walk us through this craziness versus constantly make excuses and point the blame, I think is where the problem is. And you bring it up, but it's a good, I've always said, and I'm curious, we'll go to Stormy, I want to get you in this. To me, it's always weird. It's like usually when a tragedy hits or a catastrophe hits, it's like a slam dunk for a president to use that to rally the country together because we're all on the same page of like, let's fix this, unite us all, right? And I think it's just weird to me he couldn't use this to unite us. Instead, I do feel like he divided more of America than united, and that to me is just a problematic place. But Stormy, let's go back to you. Thoughts on anything else you want to share, or thoughts on this? Do you think I'm wrong? Anything you want to add?
No, I don't think you're wrong, but it's at the same time, it's like I've had this debate with people just because, like, especially when COVID-19 comes up, it's because, in all honesty, I have had family members that passed away from COVID, and I actually work at a hospital where I've seen COVID and what has happened to it. I've also seen us run out of PPE. So it's like I've seen it from a first point of view where it's like my view is a little bit different than other people. I do listen to other people and what they have to say, but I'm just like, at the same point in time, I'm like, I know what's true and what's not true when it comes to it. But when it comes to the COVID, it's like I've always said, I'm like, look, I was like, you could say that, that Trump was this and that. I'm like, but the problem is that if you're a great businessman and you're a great leader, which makes a great businessman, by the way, because you have to rally the troops around, you should have at least owned it. Even when those tapes came out, you should have just said, hey, I was wrong in the beginning, and this is what we should have done. So let's do this from this point forward. Let's wear the mask, for 6 weeks. Let's open up our economy and stuff like that, but let's do it safely. If you would have done those little bitty steps instead of saying how it's a hoax and it's a scam and then doing all this kind of stuff and then continuing on with your narcissistic, personality where you're rallying these people together, and it's just like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, this is just a brand that you're selling, and these are actually people's lives out there. So it's like at the same point in time, it's like I look at it and I think about it and I'm just like, well, I was like, when it comes to COVID, I am a little bit more biased because I've seen it, but I wish that he would have been a leader and would have actually just stepped up, because that is what being a leader is. You admit what your faults and then you push on. You don't just keep on deflecting it like it never happened. Just own it and then just fix it. Show an example. That's all you have to do. It's so simple, but he can't do that. And that's what's so sad. And so, yeah, I agree completely with it. Yeah. Do I like Biden completely? No. No, I don't. But I got to look at what's the less of two evils onto this as to why I go into one way. And again, like I said, I was like, I'm from Texas. So I was like, I've seen a little bit more than other people have. So that's why I feel the way I feel.
Yeah, well said. I just want to make sure, Don, let me go through and make sure I got it. Don, any other thoughts overall on sort of how this went played, or anything you want to say? Do you give Trump any points as a Biden supporter where he excelled?
No, there were definitely points where he excelled. Like the part about the global warming, that's a great example of how he excelled. Like he was very controlled. And matter of fact, I thought that's where he was going to turn. If he had an opportunity to turn this entire thing around, that was the starting point. And then he started slipping after the end of that. But where he started keeping control and very collected, and he had some very strong points. That was, to me, like, okay, this is turning into like one of those rope-a-dope matches where like you think that the match is going one way, and then the longer it's going, it's going to flip. And that's where I thought that was going to happen. So I thought that round was a very strong round for him, and I thought Biden was starting to slip, and I thought he was going to start picking it up in the end. He didn't. The numbers show that, but definitely there were some strong points for Trump in the argument at the beginning, in that point, and I think there was like one or two other points. But most of his parts was like just throwing wild jabs of, in statements and whatnot. And I don't think, personally, I'm a man of if you're going to act the part, you need to show the part. I don't think he really showed the part of being a presidential candidate throughout the debate in the arguments. He was more on the attack, interrupting, trying. You can be deflective without having to be disrespectful or without having to be rude. At one point, like the part that really threw me off, like early on, was when he was like, "Oh, I thought I was having a debate with Biden, and I'm having a debate with you, Chris." And
right. That wasn't a good
kind
look.
of threw me off.
That wasn't a good look for him.
No, exactly. So like right there, he was kind of like pushing me off in that sense. And he could have easily won me over just by like, you know what? I understand. I respect that. Respect goes a long way where I come from.
Look, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not. I've said it. Since we're opening up in politics for one night only tonight to sort of share our thoughts, and we're not. You guys make your own decisions at home. But I'm not a Trump supporter, but I had to give him credit during the Hillary Clinton debates, where he really did sort of put her to town. And I didn't have a lot. I didn't have a lot of faith in Hillary. I still don't. I'm not a huge fan of hers. But he really did, I think, decimate her in those debates. He was just ready to attack and he was blowing up the system, right? I think now that that's happened and we have a candidate that's a little bit more boring and a little bit more prepared, he doesn't really have anything to do. There's not a lot of shots he can take, and he took a couple shots at Hunter Biden, and I thought Joe did it. I mean, whoever told him to sort of embrace it and say, yeah, he has a drug problem. Yeah, he's been working on it like a lot of people in America. I mean, that's beautiful, right? How do you? Yeah, well, still, I mean, he sort of just nipped it in the bud. To me, the most, and I'm curious as sort of takeaways, and then we'll talk about what they should do next time, and then we'll open up the phone calls, the Zoom line. But to me, the biggest takeaway still, and I haven't looked online. If you guys are in the chat, can look online or give me some reactions or anything else to how people are going. But to me, the biggest takeaway beyond Trump, who's going to yell at Chris Wallace tomorrow, beyond that was Trump's refusal to condemn white supremacy. It was such an easy, obvious choice. Just say it. Just say it. I know you're like, look, I'm not one to bow to the mob. I'm not one to bow down to people telling me what to do. I understand that, but this is such an obvious, easy thing to do. We're in a debate. It's a question. It's just, you don't even have to like do exactly. You can be like, of course I don't condone white supremacy. There's so many ways you could have just said it, to just say it and move on, and he refused to say it. To me, that was very telling. And then I remember as we were watching, David, you made the point, maybe that was all a move. So that distracts people from the COVID conversation, the Rona, let's call it, the Rona conversation, because then that's all they'll talk about. But I don't know, man, that's a problem for me. I don't like people who don't just condemn white supremacy. Like, to me, that is a deal point that sort of sways me to one candidate over the other, because like I want unity in the world, and we all should obviously be equal and treat each other with respect. And I don't support white supremacists. And if you are a white supremacist watching me, sorry, get the hell out of here. I don't support that. It's just such a weird thing. Like, I don't have a problem, the fact that he keeps denying the answer, not giving us an answer, is the reason why we keep asking it. And I remember Paul said, he's answered it. I needed to hear him say it right then and there, and he didn't. And that was very telling to me. Anybody else have a thought on that, or am I overreacting on that one?
He did kind of answer it, but not in a good, strong way. He said something like, yeah, of course I condemn it. And then it's like, do you condemn, like, groups? And then he started the whole...
Proud Boys.
The Proud Boy conversation. However, one thing I just wanted to get back with Don on, how the hell does a Republican own a Democrat on the environment?
You know what? He shouldn't. There's no way in hell that he should be able to own a Democrat on a
but he did it.
So, but he
sometimes
did.
He has some gold, and I think in our next debate he'll do better.
And then, I give Trump his argument on that.
Oh, I agree, but I just wanted to make that point of like that's kind of the thing. It's like I just couldn't believe that.
But at the same time, like, how do you pass up a layup like that? That's just like an easy layup, and like just like boom, get your 3-pointer. Just shot that in. Slam dunk that, whatever you need to do. And then he tries to drive it home with something, and it just fails.
Yep. Here's the thing.
That argument.
I understand that Trump didn't say the exact words, I condemn white supremacy, and that is disappointing. That being said, he has, in the past said things against white supremacy and just racism in general. And the fact that he did both challenge Biden on his condemnation of certain groups as well. So it wasn't the clear-cut thing that Andy and I would have probably, and a lot of people would have probably liked. It seemed strange that a guy who would tweet, and he has, and it's funny. By the way, most of Trump's tweets, I don't know why people take them seriously. It's like some of the stuff that goes out there. Andy did that whole thing on The Rock with the whole eating children. There's some things that you just got to take with a grain of salt. I mean, obviously, you're not going to nuke a hurricane, and you're not going to inject bleach. That's this.
People did it.
But that
People
wasn't a tweet.
did it.
That was him at a press conference.
At a Rona press conference. But hold on, I know because you like to argue both sides, Damian. But I'm going to push you on this one. I disagree on you with this. To me, this is the biggest stage. This is the opportunity to say, I don't support white supremacy. Or at least to say, look, I've done it before. You're not going to make me do it again. There's a way to say it, to at least acknowledge to all the eyes that are watching on a point where that's where you say it. This isn't like some dude on Twitter telling him to say it. This is a debate where voters are watching and asking him, do you support this or not? This is about the issues. And he chose to tiptoe around it. Why? I think because he wants those votes. Because those white supremacists will go home tonight and say, woo, Trump did it. Yeah, he's with us. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. If I'm a liberal, elitist, Hollywood crazy person for that, then shoot me. Because I'm sorry, that's not okay with me. I'm not okay with that. So for him to keep tiptoeing that around the issue on the world's biggest stage, I think that's a scummy thing to do, and that's one of the reasons I can't support him. It's just a simple thing of just like human decency. Like I don't want to support that. So I know you don't either. I'm not trying to say you're not, but to me it's like
I support white supremacy.
But I'm just like I know you like to nerd war and you like to fight every side, but I have trouble fighting this one because it's like, come on. As Don said, that is a layup. And there's ways you can say it without bowing to the mob and saying, look, I've said it before, Chris. All you guys, I've said it and you ignore when I say it. Like, what do you want me to do? He could have turned it against Chris and made the media's always saying I'm a white, I support these people. I've already said it. What, you're making me say it again? How many times do I got to say it, Chris? Like, that would have been powerful. That would have been impressive. Yeah. And he didn't even do that. He literally said something about Proud Boys, which is like, what are we talking about? So, I
didn't know what Proud Boys was.
Kill Nation. Am I dumb? What do you mean, am I dumb, Kill Nation? You want to get blocked from... Explain to me how I'm being dumb on this topic. If you think it's okay to have white supremacist ideologies and which means you are against certain races, get the fuck out of my channel, okay? I said it. I'm not going to tiptoe around it. I don't support white supremacy. I will say it as many times as I got to say it because that's something I believe in my heart. Like, everybody's got to be treated equal, and I never, ever want to condemn or condone any other races for their race. So get the hell out of here if you're calling me stupid for saying about something like that. And I think Trump has to say the same thing. We are in a time right now where I think things are hot and extreme, and it's very easy to at least say, I don't support this. And he didn't do it. That's a problem for me. So
I think that was an easy one. And that was an easy one for her to honestly,
easy.
That was an easy one for him to do. That was an easy one for him to show, like, hey, you know what, I don't support it, and then do what he does and then just go ahead and turn it back around and then bring it back on Biden. But he didn't even hit him there. So it's like they gave you that opportunity. I feel like they gave it to you and you just squandered it. And so that was the big problem.
I think it's more the squandering. I don't think he's actually thinking he's going to get those votes. I think he just squandered it.
Yeah.
I here's the thing. And Andy, I think everybody on this panel would probably sit there and say, we're not for any racial supremacy of any kind, whether it's, an IFTA, whatever the hell that other group is, or white supremacists or whatever. The point is that this is where I think that where the debate went wrong. There was at least 3 points that Trump was just given, and he fumbled the ball. Yeah. He shot it and it didn't go in the basket, or he just was like, he was given. You're right. He was given the layup, and I will concede that argument. See, I could be a good president. Damian for president 2025.
Thank God.
I'll concede the argument that he should have just said something to that extent. He should come on Nerd Wars more often, and we can get him trained up. I will say that Biden was extremely coached. He was ready to just let Trump's blows roll off of his shoulders. The problem is that I think if Trump would have just chilled for a moment, honestly,
Listen,
Biden didn't have a whole lot of strong points. Like if you really look at his points, I didn't see a whole lot of strong points. I just saw Trump beat himself up a lot of times. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You know, he gave you this, he gave you this, he gave you this, and so what? And then that's the problem that I saw. I was like, man, honestly, I think that his coaches are going to go back and be like, hey, listen, man, I know it's been 4 years since you got in the ring. We got to coach you back up and get you ready. Because
Trump's going to be spending the next 3 days just watching this fight over and over again and going like, what the fuck was I thinking?
But
oh my God, I feel like Biden's coaches watch the tape over and over and over again. He's like, he's going to hit you with this. He's going to hit you with this. He's going to hit you with this.
Well, here's
that role.
Two things on that.
said that too.
Stormy, I'll go next, but two things to respond to that. Yes, I think you're right. Biden prepared better. At the same time, while I'm knocking Trump on that issue, Biden's boring. Biden doesn't energize. Biden said nothing there that I'm like, yes. Oh my God, I'm so excited for this president. Biden's got I had people texting me. I'm not going to call them out who they are, but there's people who aren't, not involved in this channel, but people I care about. They're like, oh my God, and the liberals who are like, oh, Biden sucks. Like that's the problem right now, and Biden does not have that energy to get us riled up like Obama did. Obama was such a good orator, right? He was such a good speaker. Like him or not, he could just stand there and speak, and that was his superpower. And Biden doesn't have that same ability. So it's like a problem of just like, and we're not jazzed up. We don't care. But people are disliking Trump so much for a lot of things he's doing that's all that matters. So
you gotta admit, there were some points where Biden would just throw in a remark that was just like from left field. It's like, boom, a hit. Like a solid hit.
I would actually I'm going to give Biden this little 1 point. And he knows that all he had to do is poke the dragon.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do much.
Well,
poke the dragon, step back.
Well, yeah. And thank you, Bunda, for staying over this chat. And I'm going to come to you, Storm, to get your thoughts on this or something else you want to add, because I didn't mean to I wanted to come to you. But Bunda just said, Chris Christie prepared Trump for this debate, hence why Trump came out swinging. That's Christie's MO, go out, attack, and then he's gassed. But well said, and Damian just said it too, but it's like that's how it felt. Honestly, it felt like Trump was sort of started a little slow, and then was like, and then Biden was prepared to not just lose it, right? Biden was prepared to like just take it, and you wouldn't have expected that given everyone, Sleepy Joe and old Joe, and Joe's going to blunder. I don't think Joe blundered anything. There was nothing embarrassing that Joe said tonight where I'm like,
shut up, Mark. That one.
Shut up, but it's like even that. Yes, so what? He told him to shut up.
I
honestly,
think that will be played a lot.
I think Trump deserved it. Trump needed to shut up.
I'm sure he did, but that showed that Joe was losing his cool.
If that was the worst, he didn't say shut the fuck up. He didn't, whatever it was. But sure, if that's the worst, that's not the blunder I expected. I expected him to go off some tangent.
We all thought he was going to.
I thought he was going to talk about rubbing people's legs in a pool again, but he didn't go there. Thank God. But yeah, to me, it's like he got gassed. He started hitting, and then even that Biden moment. The Hunter Biden moment, Biden was ready and was like, yeah, knocked it down. Stormy, what do you think? And what's your advice moving on to the next one too? Like, what was your take on that and sort of Trump's attack, position, which is usually what he likes to do? How do you think Biden did?
Well, like I had said, I was like in the beginning, I was like, I wanted to see whether or not this was going to be a chess match, a checker match, or a boxing match. And this was a boxing match because Trump came out just hitting jabs in the beginning, and then as most boxers do, you don't realize there's other rounds besides just that one. You can't just knock him down the first one. And so that was the problem, is he lost his gas. But not only that, but they had even said that Biden had took time off of campaigning. I think it was like a week or something like that to prepare for this debate. And they even did mock debates. But they were also saying that how Trump, when they were asking if Trump actually did mock debates, he didn't. They said they prepared him through flashcards and through, Christie is the one that that he did it. So hopefully what he needs to do next time, look at how Biden debates. Don't come out swinging automatically. You got to hold back what you have on your arsenal. It's like this man never has played a video game before. It's like, hold back what you have. Don't just show them all of your freaking, grenades. Hold back. Strategize, see where he's going, and then go ahead and hit it. But I got to agree with Damian, though. You got to come on Nerd Wars so we could teach you how to do it, because obviously you have not been playing a board game for a long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree completely. Like, he He didn't do great. And Joe really is boring. I mean, he is so boring.
Right, said
He
by
really
two
is. That's
people
what I was
who
really
support
looking
him.
forward
That's depressing.
yeah, it's like that's.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure.
I was
I'm sure a
like-
lot of people are looking for option 3, but you know.
Yeah.
Kanye West,
my
everybody.
I would have been happy to see Bernie go against Trump. That would have been a good
Poor
debate.
Oh, that would have
Bernie.
been so good. Well, hold on. Before we get, I'm gonna open up. We'll get final thoughts. But as we got everybody in here, hey Paul, welcome back. We'll get to you in a second, Paul. But bear with me. But it's interesting here. So I opened up what's trending, and of course, I mean, hugely trending are the two topics: are Proud Boys and white supremacy. So as I suspected, that was the takeaway of this election. And the Proud Boys apparently are, for the record, these are the Proud Boys Trump is told to stand by. I'm afraid to even lift up the audio. He refuses to announce white supremacy. President is a racist. Trump, he told the Proud Boys to stand by. Trump would not discourage his supporters from violence regarding the election. This is most clear and present danger to our country. 4 years of Trump. This is clearly Proud Boys on Telegram talking about how the president backed him up. Look, I don't know. He's validating the Proud Boys. Apparently, the Proud Boys have now made their slogan, stand back, stand back. I don't know who the Proud Boys are, but apparently...
I'll tell you who the Proud Boys are.
So go, Paul, quickly.
The Proud Boys are a direct response to Antifa. That's what they are. So when Antifa shows up for a protest, the Proud Boys show up as well. The Proud Boys are the opposite of them, but not in political views, just in... So Antifa's shown up and they've beaten up Trump supporters in rallies. They've bike locked them, and then there was this big thing that happened with a guy called Bay Stick Man, and that's when the Proud Boys really surfaced and sort of grew out of that. And they've been labeled a white supremacist group, but they're not. There's black members as well. Yeah. There's all sorts of members inside Proud Boys. They are an antithesis to Antifa. They
Imagine
do not
if
like
football
violence.
players decided to get political.
Yeah. So they're
pretty much.
Yeah, they're anti the left violence. So they will show up and protect and form lines, and then also take on Antifa if they become violent. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So basically, they're the group that's like supportive of being like non-racist for the most part.
Yeah,
I mean that's not
according
to Twitter.
Against that,
not according to Twitter. There's a lot of mixed messages on who the Proud Boys are.
How much of Twitter is people who
left?
I don't know enough, but I all I know is I need to do more research on what this group is, because I don't like Antifa either, to be honest, right? So it sounds like both. It sounds like Antifa is like the left and Proud Boys are the right, and to me both are a problem. So for him to sort of
reactionaries,
for him to speak out to them directly as if like he's employing them, that's problematic for me, at least.
Yeah.
That's not. I'm not okay with that. Whether they're racist or not, it sounds to me like he just publicly admitted, "Hey, Proud Boys, all right, back down. I'm told to back you guys down." What does this mean? Why do we have any extremist group out there? What was that, David?
Chris Wallace is the one who mentions it. Trump's like, so who are my right-wing guys that I'm supposed to denounce? And Chris Wallace is like, oh, I mean like the Proud Boys. And he was like, I guess I tell, Proud Boys, stand down. That was kind of how that conversation went.
Well, look, it's gonna clearly that's what everyone's gonna talk about the next. Well, and I have to go back and play it.
I guess I was right on that one.
But either way, it sounds like that and the white supremacy clip is clearly where people are gonna now jump on Trump and use this in negative ways. So it is what
Which
it is.
I think is a lot less powerful than the COVID talk.
Well,
yes,
the Rona stuff, he's sort of distracted with it. But to me, it's like he's distracting with a legitimate problem with a racist problem. I don't understand how either of these problems are right.
They said the same thing about him in 2016 before the election. And
that's why I don't think it's going to be as devastating. That COVID speech that Joe Biden gave, where he looked at the camera and said, all those people out there who's lost a loved one, that was powerful shit.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be talking about that for the next 3 days. We're going to be talking about Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Exactly. I will say that speech, that moment, that's probably when I was like, damn, Biden. He was talking right to the American people. He told them right to the camera, you need to go and vote. And he also said, you've lost a loved one. And even if you take one loved one per family that was lost, and you multiply that times the family members that can vote, for every person lost, it's anywhere between 2 to 3 to 5 family members that are voters. And if they were looking at that debate and they connected with that moment with them, they're like, you know what, this guy gets me. He understands that. Again, no different than any president who's had to go through a war. and had to sit there and go, if your table is missing a person because they went to war and they died, blame that guy who just had that war. It's no different, really, honestly. You could have made that argument for any of the many wars that we've lost our soldiers at. The problem is again, it was a layup. All Trump had to do is say, look, I fought an invisible war. My enemy wasn't
Yep.
someone that I can go and attack. My enemy came over here, and it was an invisible war. It's a microscopic war. And sorry, but the CDC, the hospitals, a lot of people, we reacted. Maybe we reacted later than we should have. But like he should have just owned it and been like, dude, I just fought a war. I had to shut down countries. And at the end of the day, for every person that died, there were businesses that were closed and livelihoods that were lost. And he didn't. Again, Trump, yo, call me, bro. I got you. I can coach you a little bit. At least make the fight a little bit more even. Jeez.
You need to go
The
on
biggest
Twitter
thing about
and
this
watch
debate
Nerd
is
Wars.
exactly. Trump needs to hire one of us from the Popcorn Planet and just employ us to coach him. He should be good to go.
Well, I want to wrap up this.
Trump supporters.
I want to wrap this up for the clip.
Better.
I want to wrap this up to clip for YouTube, and we're going to talk, and I'll take your calls in a second. I'll stay up and get you guys a call, but please send your support over at the same time. But what advice? What advice do we give both of these people? Does anybody have either a take for Biden or a take for Trump on what to do? I think for me, it's like Trump, look to camera, figure out how to use your camera to your advantage because you didn't use it tonight. And I think you got to stop interrupting. You got to use the interrupting when it's most advantageous. You use it all the time, so it becomes less effective. You just sound like a bully because no one can get a word in. And that's not civil. That's not helpful. It's not effective. Everybody starts getting bored and rolls their eyes because what am I watching this for? They're not even listening to you, and you're trying to when you want to interrupt, it's got to be effective. And now it's not effective anymore. He's overplayed that card. So to me, it's he's got to calm it down, and he's got to the best moment I can think of Trump's ever done was when Hillary's it's a good thing you're not in president, and then Trump dropped that mic, because you'd be in jail. When he's able to do it like that, it's hard to deny, that's how you do it. But there wasn't a single moment tonight where he was trying desperately to throw him out there, but he was so scattershot all over the place it didn't work. So for me, and I'll go to you guys quickly around, I just think he needs to chill, he needs to prepare, and he needs to have some new slogans and statements to zing at and have them ready so he can actually have some of those shots, because he didn't have any tonight. And I think Biden, he needs to figure out how to energize us. I don't know how we can do that, though, because I don't think he can. I think staying silent, rolling his eyes, those are all effective ways to get there. We'll end really quick. Stormy, really quick, any thoughts on your advice for the next panel? For the next debate, rather?
Yeah, Trump just needs to just cool it, just stop it. Also, just don't throw all your artillery out the first swing. You got to hold back a little bit. You also got to give this poor man a word in edgewise. We already know your tricks by now, so just stop it. Just let them talk. But I think that he's so used to taking down an enemy, somebody that's in power, that he wants that position, that he doesn't know how to, because when it came to it, he was trying to, fight with Hillary to get, the votes and stuff like that. But now he's the one that's in charge now. So you got to now defend yourself as to what you've done the past 4 years, own what you've done, tell the American people what you've done for them, and then tell them what you're going to do the next 4 years, because you're just throwing insults doesn't tell the American people anything. Also, when you're right next to Biden, it kind of shows that you're not a politician, because you're not very calm or a leader. So maybe just dial it down. And I don't know, Biden, I don't know, Red Bull or something?
Red Bull or something.
I don't know. I don't know. It's
tough.
that man is just boring when he talks. So I don't know. But it's we've already been with Trump for so long that now it's just white noise in the background. It's you already know what he's going to say. So get something new. Stop with the eye roll and stop with the shaking, the head. Just talk. Just tell the American people what you want from them, what you're going to do.
Two quick comments. I want to thank AC. Thank you, and well said, Stormy. AC, even from Australia, he looked like a loud uncle. Sorry, it just froze. Hold on. It looked like a loud. Why did that go away? There's. Even from Australia, he looked like the loud uncle. At Christmas, and the Proud Boys stand down comment. WTF? I'm going to end there in the end. But there was a comment. Sorry, and it got deleted. Somebody deleted. But someone said I'm focused on the presentation and not the substance, and I'm missing the point. God, no, you're missing the point. These debates aren't watched live. The people who watch this live can see through it and know the substance and know all the issues. These debates get clipped. It's all about the clips because those clips are what's going to be all over social media and the news tomorrow. You got to go into your debates. Yes, you got to do the whole game and you got to have the substance. But no, this is a marketing job. A debate is a marketing job. How do you get the voters to vote for you? How do you just convey your message? And Trump didn't do it. He didn't do it. His presentation was awful tonight, and it's going to show. And that's what they're going to clip tonight. They're going to show the worst parts of it and not the substance because nobody cares about the substance. They care about the clips. Sadly, that's the way America works. We watch the substance. We know their substance. I don't think either of them have a lot of substance, to be honest. They're just sort of telling you what they want. It's all about those clips. So the marketing is absolutely more important. The presentation is key, and he bombed it. David, real quick, final thoughts from you?
Yeah. So I've been going through my Facebook feed, looking at people I don't know who are on the left and the right. My one friend who is he worships the presidency of the United States. That is his religion. He hates Donald Trump with a fiery passion. And he looked at Biden's debate performance tonight, and he's like, what are we going to do? We're fucked. So I have no idea. Another one is my friend Sarah. She's a very rabid Trump person. Well, Chris Wallace won the debate tonight. I wish him well with the rest of his presidential run. So
it's true. Chris
there's a mixed bag of things out there. But I'm just going to say this. In my opinion, I've been studying elections. If I were in the United States, I would be what would be considered a Republican county chair, but I'm in Canada, so it doesn't mean much. But basically, the vast majority of the people, the debates are not going to be that big a deal. The real fight, most people don't determine what they're going to vote till 5 days before the election. And they're going to make up their minds then. So this is a lot of theater signifying nothing.
Fair.
But it was great to be here with everyone.
Well said.
So there you go.
Paul, really quickly, I know because you came in, just give me a quick final thought.
Yeah, I think that Trump needs to focus more on what he's accomplished and less on interruptions. Let Biden hang himself, basically. Biden was doing that tonight. He was just letting him waffle and then giving little, oh man, this guy again, sort of things, which even made me think, oh man, why is he doing this? So yeah, I think he won on the global warming thing, and that's about all he really had the major points on. He kept bringing up his son, which has nothing to do with Biden's presidency whatsoever. So it's like, leave that point alone. It's not even a point at all. Yeah. So I think Biden's not charismatic at all. He's got no charisma. And Trump needs to lean into that. And I think he's losing because there's no crowd in the room to sort of egg him on, and he feeds off the crowd.
That's well said. It's true. He loves the crowd, and the crowd not there does not help him. Adon, quick final thoughts?
Look at it as, Trump, you're going to have to look at this as a learning fight. Biden was feeding on the fact that you kept attacking and attacking. Yes, he was born this round, but he was letting you give the openings. He was letting you give the openings of where you were just being the belligerent guy, the guy who wasn't being controlled, and he would time his hits to where he would come in. So it wasn't glamorous, but it was actually smooth, and when he would hit, it would hit hard, where Trump was like just throwing stuff out there and looked discombobulated. So think about what you're going to say. Maybe let Biden, if he's going to go in there, let Biden try to be aggressive, and then that way you can let people see that he's really truly a boring guy, and he's not going to win you over that way. You could be that smooth guy and just hit him hard, like when you did with Hillary. Hillary was responsive. Biden's not. Change your game up so you can work that, and then that way you can win that next debate that you're going to do. In this game, I'm going to have to give it to Biden. He was a stronger debater this time, even though he's not as entertaining. He's definitely stronger.
Damian, quickly, that last thought.
Trump take about a quarter of a Xanny, and Biden needs about a bump of Coke.
Wow. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree
Accurate.
with that. We're going to clip this for YouTube, so you got a summary of sort of our take on the whole debate mania tonight. Maybe we'll do this again. We'll see what you guys think and how this does. But thank you guys at home who watched. It was a lot of fun watching it with you guys and getting drunk because, man, you needed it. Debate 2's in a couple weeks, I think, or a week or so. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll be here. Be sure to subscribe and check out movie stuff. We talk about pop culture stuff. We don't usually do politics. But if you enjoyed enjoyed this, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Those of you watching live, don't go anywhere. I'm about to open the lines, and we'll get all your thoughts in a second. So thanks again for watching here on Popcorn Planet.